look. Let's cast our mind back, shall we? Probably about 24 hours ago or so, Rishi Sunak was grilled on national service. Let's take a look.
Have a set of sanctions and incentives, and we will look at the models that are existing around Europe to get the appropriate mix of those. There's a range of different options that exist.
For example?
There's all sorts of things that people do across Europe, whether that's looking at driving licences, other access to finance, all sorts of other things. There's a range of things, and we will have a Royal Commission look at all of those, come back to the government and recommend what the appropriate mix of incentives and sanctions is.
Now, that has made a lot of headlines today, that comment, Kwasi. Mixed headlines, I've got to say, and a lot of them have been quite critical. Where are you, firstly, on this policy?
I think it's a good idea. I think you've got communities right across our country who have very different traditions, lots of people coming from other parts of the world. And I think national service is a really good idea to bring people together, to have community cohesion, national cohesion, and actually to instill our young people with a sense of service and also a sense of belonging to the national community. I think it's a good idea. As the Prime Minister said, it operates in a lot of countries in Europe.
So you back it. Is it a cynical ploy to get the older people to vote for the Tories?
Well, look, there are lots of reasons why you push policies. I'm not going to get into the motives of that.
Why?
As an idea, because I think you've got to look at the policy and say whether it's a good policy or not. You can't guess motive. You can't say, well, he's doing this because of that.
Well, there must be a motive behind it, because no one's just in an election campaign just randomly going to make stuff up. There must be an objective.
Let's not be cynical, and let's try and examine the proposal on its merits. And I've always thought that some form of community service, national service, is a good idea to bring communities together and to instill a sense of
yeah, I'm not being cynical. At the end of the day, everyone from all different parties, colours, stripes, everybody is looking to say, right, what are going to be the vote winners for this party to get us across the line? Because ultimately, everybody wants to win power. So that's what I'm interested in.
I mean, you know, this is a thing about our media today and our culture, is that we're obsessed with the kind of, you know, the horse race of politics. Let's look at policies that can actually help the UK. And I think national service is a good idea. It's a good policy, which can bring people together.
Let's look at the policy. I'm not exaggerating. I think this is a complete dog's breakfast. 2 days before the 2 days before the announcement, the Tory Defence Minister said we've got no plans whatsoever to bring in national service because it would do more harm than good. This is a crude, naked pitch to the over 65s who are attracted to reform. But the question that's been dogging it since the announcement is enforceability. And I have to say, I could not believe what I heard Rishi Sunak say last night. You're going to take on young people, and then if they don't take part, you're going to hit their driving licences or you're going to hit their bank accounts. It's an assault on young people. And when you look at the intergenerational unfairness we've seen over the last 14 years, the elderly protected at every turn, young people seeing their tuition fees trebled, can't get access to housing, this is monstrous.
So look, I think an idea of national service is a good idea, okay? You've got people from all sorts of parts of the world. We've got a multicultural, multi-ethnic population now. And one way to bring people together is through some form of national service. Now, there are practical elements to it that need to be worked out, and that's what he said. He said there'll be a Royal Commission. Frankly, I think that the driving licence issue is difficult because anyone who knows millennials knows that a lot of them don't have, not even millennials, I mean Generation Z we're talking about, they don't have driving licenses. Lots of people don't have driving licenses until they're a bit older. So taking away their driving license, I don't think is going to be an effective deterrent. I think bank accounts, I agree, seems a bit severe. But I think the idea needs to be debated, which we're doing. And I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good thing to try and bring people together and to enhance national cohesion.
It would be unenforceable. I think you'd have massive civil resistance from young people across the country. It'd be like going back to the poll tax, where
I don't think
huge numbers of people refused to pay.
So if you look at, and he mentioned it, the Prime Minister, if you look across Europe, there are lots of countries that have national service. Sweden, Germany's had it, lots of countries do it. And it's a vital element in terms of bringing people together and ensuring that we actually have a national community. Because that's the problem we have. We have lots of people coming into the country, and there's no sense that people are building a sense of nationhood and a sense of togetherness. And I think national service is a good idea.
Why are we going to target that just at young people? I agree with you. We need values and beliefs and traditions that bring us together.
That bring everyone together.
Targeting young people in this way, I think is pernicious.
So what are you suggesting then? Rolling it out, extending it to all age groups?
No, I think this is a fatuous solution. I don't think it will work, and I don't think it's the right way forward. And Kwasi talks about other European countries. Many other European countries have done away with national service. One, because their military are opposed to it. They don't want young people.
But it's not just about military. It's
not
like it was in the 50s and when it was stopped in, I think, in 61. That was entirely military. And it wasn't even, it was just men. It didn't extend to females. I think what we're trying to do in the 21st century is to bring people together. Of course, it'll apply to both men and women. And it's not just about military capacity. It's about bringing together people and having a sense of public service, sense of nationhood, and that's a good thing.
Who do you think it's going to bring together?
I think, we go across the UK and look at constituencies like mine, my old constituency, and other places, and you've got a very fragmented society. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You see people who only go on social media and speak to like-minded people. There's no sense really these days, there's not a strong sense of sharing a kind of national story, sharing national culture. And I think national service is a very good way of bringing together people in that way.
Kwasi, do you not understand how singled out young people feel? You look at what's happened for the last 14 years, and it's a reality that the elderly have been protected through the pensions triple locked.
So you're saying they shouldn't have been protected?
No. But that's the reality, whilst young people have been thrown to the wolves.
So I think that's a really cynical and very pessimistic view of how young people think. It's not targeted at them.
You've spoken to any young people about it?
Yeah, I have. It's not targeted
and they're in
at them.
favour of it, are they?
It's not targeted at them.
They're in favour of it?
They like it. They like the idea of it. Some of the people I speak to...
Then you're on a different planet.
The idea that people just don't want to do it because they don't want to share in national community is ridiculous. Young people are patriotic and they want to learn about the country. They want to learn about the society they're in. And I think national service, or a sense of national service, bringing people together is a good idea.
I'll tell you what young people would like is an apprenticeship or go into higher education.
Yeah, that's good too.
Both of which have been cut significantly.
Okay,
under
so
this
those are separate. That's a separate discussion.
40% cut in apprenticeships.
I completely agree with you. But instead of coming to the table and trying to shoot good ideas down, I think you should be broad. Of course, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to bring people together and share in a national community.
I'm biased, right? And of course, I'm going to disagree with what the Conservatives are putting forward. I genuinely think this is the worst idea that you put forward in terms of equity and fairness and enforceability.
So what would you... OK, let me turn the tables on you. You've agreed with me that we should bring people together. We should try and create a sense of national cohesion. What is your alternative to that? This is a clear policy, clear idea, draws on the past, but it will obviously change it and make it more relevant to today's society. What's your idea?
I think, for example, you've got to look at the school's curriculum and ensure that British values, an opportunity to debate and discuss these issues is embedded within the curriculum. I think volunteering opportunities, I think, youth work and youth centres, which used to bring young people regardless of background together, and they've been decimated over the last decade or so.
I don't disagree with you. I think all of those initiatives are good, but I think as a form of togetherness, bringing everyone together, and also building that national cohesion, national service has got to be discussed, and we're discussing it now. I think it was one of the best policy offerings in this campaign, and I think the Prime Minister has done well to articulate that.
I still don't understand how it's going to bring everyone together. So you're going to have a group of young people, 18-year-olds. They're going to be told, you have to do this. It's not nice to have, you have to do this. So you're going to have loads of people that resent doing it, or they're going to try everything to pull a fast one and get out of it. So you're going to have that cohort. Sure, by the way, there will be loads of 18-year-olds that are up for it. Good for you.
They'll have opportunities they've never had before.
So that's great for that group. So that's that group. They're off for the, high five you're doing great. So the ones that are resisting, so you're going to have them that are absolutely not being brought together. You're going to have their parents that probably don't appreciate their child being forced into something. But how do we embrace the people that are really going to have quite a visceral rejection of this? So
my problem with that argument is that we're very good at tearing things down. We're very good at shooting down ideas, being cynical, being very negative. And this actually, in all this campaign, is one of the most positive, forward-looking policies. And I think it needs to be examined. And as the Prime Minister said, we'd have a commission, we'd look at sanctions, so that we people have to do this national service. It doesn't make sense if it's voluntary. It's not a national service if it's just something that you can opt in and out of. But I think the idea of having something that brings people together, everybody, regardless of their societal background, their ethnic heritage, their religion, I think is a good idea.
I'm for that, but this is not the way forward. And look, it's a gimmick.
But your solution is youth clubs.
It's school's curriculum, it's youth clubs. But, the Tory Defence Minister, 2 days before this was announced, said, we're not going to do it because it would do more harm than good. What changed? A young special advisor within Tory Central Office said, we need something eye-catching to appeal to the over 65s.
No, but hold
and this is what
on.
we're going to do. And it doesn't add up and it doesn't work.
No, but when you say that someone said that they're not going to do it, were they not referring to essentially like a conscription where you're putting people into the armed forces potentially against their will? Was it not that they were rejecting? Because this national service thing is not this.
Just all elements of this, as I understood the Prime Minister last night within the debate, will be enforceable.
Yes.
And the two means that he identified, you've acknowledged, Kwasi, taking away the driving licence and your bank account is not acceptable.
Okay.
So how are you going to enforce it?
And what he said was that we'd look at a Royal Commission. Those are just two suggestions.
Yeah, a Royal Commission is kicking it into the long grass.
No, but we'd look at how you can enforce this. And it's not just about the old... It's not just about the old 1950s square bashing type military, which was, people appreciated that. It's going to be a different offer. It's going to apply to men and women, and you won't necessarily be directly focused on the armed services. It's all about trying to build togetherness and national cohesion, which we're lacking. You accept that.
Yeah.
And this is a positive solution to trying to solve this problem. And I'm not hearing any
at the very
positive
least, there
ideas
are going to be significant numbers who will not want to do it. How are you going to enforce it? Answer, I hear none. Because there isn't a credible way of enforcing it.
So he mentioned two ways.
Which are bonkers.
I think one of them is quite draconian, the bank account. And I think the driving licence won't work because a lot of 18-year-olds don't have driving licences these days.
It's not...
Sorry.
No, carry on. I was just about to say, it's not just, you say it's about draconian when you're talking about restricting finances.
Accounts is tricky. I mean, that's a difficult...
Yeah, a lot of people will be watching what Rishi said, and, a lot of governments got a little bit carried away with their power during the COVID era. So when people now hear, we're going to restrict your access to finance, people will automatically start thinking about, social credit scores, digital currencies, overreach and all of that.
Between freezing bank accounts and confiscating whatever it is, driving licenses, there are lots of things. There are fines, there are all sorts of ways that you can enforce and encourage people to do the national service.
Well, look, I think what we have certainly got a consensus around the table, and probably with you at home, is something needs to be done. We do need to move things forward in a more united fashion in this country. But is that answer, the military service, or the national service, should I say, is that the right one? And how would you enforce it at home if it is indeed something that you agree with? Get in touch with me all the usual ways after the break. I want to talk